And welcome back to the Constitutionals podcast. I'm your host, Chad White. If you didn't know, this is the premier podcast for the website, cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. No time to dilly-dally. Let's get around to the first story. This is a mixture of at least 2.5 weeks worth of stories. Warner Brothers Discovery boss's payday is toast. This comes from Reuters, written by Jennifer Saba. We got some changes for David Zaslav's pay. All right. He made, I believe, a crap ton of money last year. But if he wants his $200 million compensation package that he got in 2021, there's gonna be a lot of hard truths when that comes to it. Jennifer writes, shares of the company behind HBO, cable news network CNN, and streaming service Max are hovering around $10 per share now, the problem is Zaslav is sitting on stock options that kick in at the prices from $35.65 to $43.33 over a period that ends in 2027. Obviously, WBD is not doing that well. And the company is currently worth about $69 billion, including a net debt of around $43 billion. The top end of the target for shares options would imply the company's enterprise value would have to reach $148 billion. Now, we've got a lot of things happening at Warner Bros. Discovery, and not me, because I currently work there. That's going to change, unfortunately. But there's things that are happening at the network, such as Food Network and TBS. They're shrinking. TBS is getting rid of all of its shows. The only scripted shows. The only show that is currently still on there that I'm extremely concerned about is American Dad. And that's been going on. Jesus, I gotta put my thumb down. It's been renewed up until season 19, I believe. So I believe it's on 18 right now. So we got one more year with it to the very least. And at minimum, what they could do is move that show over to Adult Swim. But Adult Swim is so, A, gung-ho on Rick and Morty, and B, it isn't necessarily conducive for a 20 to 22 episode season of a TV show. By their own admission, I guess. I don't know. That's the way they do things over there. The only things that are really performing well, and anybody can see this happening, is really things like Max, or shows that perform well on cable and Max, like shows like White Lotus. They have other divisions like the gaming unit. Hogwarts Legacy released, which is a prequel to the Harry Potter series. And it generated about $1.3 billion in revenue. That's because it's on PC, Xbox Series X, Xbox One, PS4, PS5, and now the Nintendo Switch, more recently. Then you have to take into account that it has to compete with the likes of Netflix, which is way pricier or worth more. Warner Bros. Discovery's marketing the value is shrinking. Oh, jeez, I gotta turn that off. And just because they have all of these cable platforms, cable networks, and a streaming platform, and gaming, and this and that, and the rest, it doesn't make sense. This and that and the rest. I'm sorry, I'm still thinking of that title. It doesn't mean that they are that they're performing at a level that they should be. You have one mega company, and then you have Discovery. You have Warner Brothers, and then you have Discovery, and it's like if David and Goliath started working together, but David didn't know how to manage Goliath. Share percentages keep falling. What is Warner Bros. Discovery to do? Now, this is a man who, now this is not on, if you're looking at the notes, this is not in the notes, but he gave an interview in the last couple of days regarding the strikes, David Zaslav, and he mentioned that he was always behind the actors and the writers. He said he fought to end the strike, and that WBD showed courage in slashing content slate and staff as industry changed. And then obviously he the pay question came up, and he kind of just waved it off. And he also mentioned about CNN there might be some type of reunion with Chris Lick. He talked about Jeff Zucker's exit, who was the previous CNN boss. And he reaffirmed plans to avoid making it a quote, advocacy network, which is something that I don't completely understand. Guy who voted for Trump. Just doesn't make sense. I mean, it makes sense in his eyes. We got to stop advocating. We got to be like Fox News. All right. Let's move on. I don't care. My contract's over with anyway. I can say whatever I want. This next one comes from IndieWire. I just had to make sure. I'm sorry. Excuse the pauses. This next bit comes from IndieWire. Now, as it turns out, we thought speaking of Warner Bros. Discovery, we thought WBD and Warner Brothers was bad at cutting things. Looks like Paramount Plus was just as bad. Written by Tony Maglio, you thought Max removed a ton of content. Get a load of these Paramount Plus cuts. And if you recall, movies like Batgirl and Coyote versus Acme were canceled, but then soon after Coyote versus Acme was not canceled. They were almost done, and now then they were thrown out for tax write-offs. But now Coyote versus Acme is back. But then we saw the first half of Looney Tunes and Sesame Street and what's that show? Raised by Wolves. Westworld. We just saw a crap ton of shows and movies just that are owned by Warner Brothers just be removed from Max. Now, according to recent Real Good audit of the catalogs of the 8 leading U.S. streaming services, which are Prime, Netflix, Peacock, Hulu, Max, Disney Plus, Paramount Plus, and Apple TV Plus. I pay for every single one of those. Paramount Plus had 830 movie titles available on October 15th, 2023. A year prior to that, on October 17th, 2022, Paramount Plus had 2,302 movie titles available. I noticed that it had shrunken, but I did not know that it was that much. The Paramount Plus film library lost 1,472 titles over 363 days, a 64% drop, which is about 4 days. Simultaneously, the Paramount Plus TV catalog increased 3%. Max lost 390 titles in its movie catalog, or 15%, from 2,558 films in October 2022 to 2,168 in 2023. Thanks to the influx of Discovery Plus series, Max nearly doubled its TV show catalog in a year. We're gonna see this all the time. This is like a huge reason why I still continue to buy movies and TV shows. Just this last week, I bought the iTunes had a sale for Curb Your Enthusiasm seasons 1 through 11, $20 for 11 seasons. The show's not over, but it's nice to have that thing digitally. I would rather have it physically, but I don't have a lot of room, and also too much plastic. We're going to continue seeing these things happen, and it's not going to be fun. And it's not going to be good, and you're going to get upset, but that's just how things are. I'm looking at these numbers now. I'm looking at the chart from Real Good. Prime Video actually went from almost 15,000 down to 10,000, and then and from January 2021 to October 2022, and then it's back up to 1,200, which is amazing. Is that Prime? Like, is that Prime? Anyway. There's another article I just clicked on, but it's not for the show. It's from me. It's from IndieWire, and I just want to read it. It was written 2 days ago. Samantha Bergeson. Now, continuing off of Paramount Plus, this comes from Benjamin Mayo. There's a report Apple, is in talks to offer a combined streaming bundle of Apple TV Plus and Paramount Plus. I recognize that I said the guy's name, but I also did not say the publication. It's 9 to 5 Mac. Apple is said to be in early talks with Paramount about a possible streaming bundle deal that would see Apple TV Plus and Paramount Plus sold together at a price less than the cost of purchasing both separately. Now, I believe Apple TV Plus I just got the email 2 days ago that's going to raise its prices from $6.99 to $9.99, which I knew was going to happen. And the ad-free tier of Paramount Plus is $11.99. If you do the math, that's $22 a month. Apple, if you're on Apple TV, just like Amazon channels and just like Hulu, in partial cases, you can subscribe to Paramount Plus via those platforms, with the exception of Hulu, which you can only do Stars, Cinemax, HBO, and Showtime. Not Cinemax, just Stars, HBO, Showtime. Well, if you watch the video, I was doing something weird. In 2021, Apple offered a bundle of Showtime and CBS All Access at 50% discounts for Apple TV Plus subscribers to the TV app. The offer was removed in the months after the launch of Paramount Plus. We're in this new aggressive streaming era where these companies must adapt to the changing to how much it costs, especially post strikes, to have all of this stuff, to pay residuals, to have all these shows and movies living on your platform. And then, on top of that, changing consumer habits. Now, I know I sound like CNBC. Baby, I'm not. But this is what's going to have to happen if they want to continue to make money in some form or fashion. Now, I predict that this bundle is probably going to launch at, I don't know, the Apple One subscription, which the one tier bundles Apple TV, Apple Music, Apple News, and Apple Arcade for $20 a month. So I predict that TV and Paramount Plus, if it's going to be a savings, it's going to be a savings of $2. It's going to be $20 a month, or if we're lucky, $18. But I doubt that it'll be priced like that because we know Apple. All right, continuing on. This comes from 9 to 5 Google. This is written by Ben Schoon. Microsoft is pushing forward with its own Xbox mobile gaming store. Last year, the company said, Microsoft had said it was going to be buying Activision Blizzard this year. It was finally allowed to do so with a lot of stipulations. At the same time last year, it was reported that Activision Blizzard was looking to own its own game store on Android. Now, if you know, Google but mostly Apple are being held in these antitrust lawsuits. I realize that it's dark outside and I'm wearing a black sweatshirt. It's Lululemon. No big deal. But the only thing you can see is like a pink shirt underneath that I'm wearing. So that is the only color that's in here. Everything else is dark because the table is the dining room table is a dark brown, a very dark brown. I don't know. I think it's very funny. Not ha funny.
Not funny like a clown.
Just watched that scene this morning from Goodfellas.
You think I'm funny? Funny like a clown?
It's important just to watch good movie scenes sometimes. I like it. Yesterday, I watched a bunch of Kevin Hart interviews. I don't know why. I was 40 minutes, me sitting at the dining room table watching Kevin Hart interviews. Couldn't tell you why. And then, as if I spoke it into the universe, Architectural Digest uploaded a Kevin Hart tour, him touring his LA offices. I think today or yesterday afternoon. It's crazy. I spoke it in. I spoke it into the universe. Let me speak in a contract renewal. So Apple and Google are in this antitrust lawsuit being sued by, I believe, the EU, but mostly Epic Games in regards to the huge percentage cuts that they take for in-app purchases on the platforms. And then also in Apple's case, it turns out that, Apple the App Store is the only place you can get apps on Apple. Versus on Google, you can go and download the Amazon App Store. You can sideload apps. You can do whatever. This Microsoft gaming store is going to have a lot of hurdles to jump through, in particular on iOS, because you can't even download the Game Pass app. You have to go into Safari and then save that to your home screen on iPad, on Mac, because that's what I have, and also on iPhone. Whereas on Android phones, I can have the Xbox app and the Game Pass app, and I can just play a Game Pass game on my phone. The Game Awards, December 7th. That's how I won that Steam Deck. I got lucky, baby. I got real lucky. I haven't been that lucky since. Very true. It's been a year. I really want to see where that goes, and I hope they're able to do that, because I would love. Well, hold on. I don't know if I would buy games specifically like Microsoft branded games for my phone, because we have games now that the iPhone Pro 15 Max is out. 15 Pro Max is out. You can play. It's strong enough, powerful enough to play the new Resident Evil game, and then other Resident Evil games. But why would I want to do that? Why would I want to gatekeep that to that thing? I mean, it's great for somebody who only wants to play games on their iPhones and iPads and Macs. Not even the Mac, but iPhone and iPad. But I don't want to be gatekept to one thing like that. Which is why I have every console. Why miss out? Last night, I was playing Uncharted 4. It has taken me... I've had that game, 3 years. It's taken me 3 years to beat it. Don't ask me how long it took me to beat Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I have Scarlet. Don't ask me how long it took me to beat Halo Infinite. It took me a very long time. This next one comes from Variety, written by Brent Lang and Matt Donnelly. Robert De Niro gave a speech at the Gotham Awards, and it was censored. But he caught the censor, and he re-input all of his stuff that he was talking about, that he was going to talk about beforehand. The thing is, Robert De Niro is one of the greatest vocal actors in my lifetime. I love him so much. He's so great. Married 2 black women. Has a multiple mixed race children. He's currently with a young Asian lady. I love this man. He's a great actor. I'd love to see him act opposite people of color, but we'll see. But he's married to he married some in real life. That's fine. Now he gave a speech for Killers of the Flower Moon at Monday's Gotham Awards, and in the middle of the speech, I urge you to go check out the speech, because this man is so great. It's important to note that the Gotham Awards were presented on Apple TV Plus. Speaking of, I believe, but they were very much produced. The movie was produced by Apple. He had not been informed of the changes, and he said, quote, "I don't feel like thanking Apple for at all for what they did." He said, "How dare they do that, actually?" This actually comes from, Gotham historical icon and from De Niro, because he won the Gotham historical icon and creator tribute. He criticized Apple. He criticized the producers of his movie. A revised version of the speech was delivered to the teleprompter less than 10 minutes before the event started, according to sources with the knowledge of the show. A woman who told the teleprompter operator to upload a new speech was overheard identifying herself as an Apple employee. At 6:54 p.m., the teleprompter company was sent an email from 2 Apple employees with the new text, which omitted explicit references to Donald Trump. And if you don't know, De Niro hates Trump. If you go look at him on Colbert, Fallon, like truly any late night program he's been on the last 4 or 5 years, he just will straight up crap talk Trump. It instead had De Niro reference how, quote, watching the news today makes it clear that, quote, we actually are living in a post-truth society. Variety has reviewed a copy of that email. The Gothams, an annual celebration of film and television, had nothing to do with the cuts of the Killer and Flower Moon star's remarks, according to insiders. A spokesperson for De Niro said that the actor did not see the changes. Apple's trying to deny, a source close to the film is trying to deny that there is no censorship involved, but we all know that this happened. De Niro said here's what he said live in that speech. Lying has become just another tool in the charlatan's arsenal. The former president lied to us more than 30,000 times during his 4 years in office, and he's keeping up in the pace in his current campaign of retribution. But with all his lies, he can't hide his soul. He attacks the weak, destroys the gifts of nature, and shows disrespect, for example, by using Pocahontas as a slur. I love De Niro for this, for standing up. It does not matter if you are a company with $1 billion track record and you're trying to apply to be applicable to everybody. You cannot do this. That is full on censorship, and it's quite frankly, I think it's ironic because this movie, Killers of the Flower Moon, is about just decimating the people who were born in America's soil and ruining their livelihoods. The white man coming in and doing that. And guess what Apple is? The white man. It's infuriating to see them take this into their own hands and go, we want to be as apolitical as possible. No, you can't. You can't, Tim Apple. You can't. This next one comes from New York Times, written by Santal Nurkar and Kevin Draper. For Sports Illustrated, report about fake authors is the latest stumble. Now, Sports Illustrated has been struggling as of late. There's been reports of plagiarism and substandard writing and the use of freelance reporters with little due diligence. Journalists there also wanted better pay, greater transparency during the hiring process, and a guarantee that all work published on the Sports Illustrated website would be edited. Not a lot of things have improved over the past couple of years. On Monday, the science and technology publication Futurism reported that Sports Illustrated had published product reviews under fake author names with fake author biographies. Now, if you recall, I believe earlier this year or maybe late last year, CNET had gotten in trouble for its use of AI written stories. And in fact, a bunch of other publications as well. But I remember CNET being probably the biggest because they just laid off. And then after that, they said, we're going to stop doing that. And then they laid off a crap ton of people. Futurism could find no evidence that the supposed authors were real, and the photographs with the bios could be found on websites that sell artificial intelligence-generated headshots. Futurism also raised the possibility that artificial intelligence had generated the words and the reviews. I mean, it's just, I'm looking at the Futurism now, which they article now, which they linked. It's not an article, it's a piece because this thing's long, which they linked inside of the New York Times piece. Oh my God, this is just damning, if anything. I can't believe that Sports Illustrated, like probably the third biggest sports contribution name. What would you call this publication? It's just, it's a bad practice, and I mean, it just violates the trust of the people who read Sports Illustrated. Now, the Arena Group, which publishes Sports Illustrated, blamed a vendor, Advon Commerce, for the situation. Sports Illustrated licenses products reviews from Advon, and Advon assured the Arena Group that, quote, all the articles in question were written and edited by humans. Said Rachel Fink, an Arena Group spokesperson. Spokesperson. It was woman, but I said person. I don't want to get in trouble. According to Arena, Advon said it used, quote, both counter plagiarism and counter AI software. Guys, come on. Look, I wrote this paper, and I swear to God I didn't cheat. Did you? Did you not? Really? I did. I mean, it's just, again, it's the latest thing. Go Media, CNET, and Columbus Dispatch in Ohio have all experienced AI troubles. And I know it's a tool that people have that want to use, and people want to use it and think that it's right for them to do so. It's not. We're at a point where banks like SoFi, which is a banking provider I use, they're getting rid of cryptocurrency trading altogether, and you can't use AI in school anymore to write anything. And Sam Altman was let go from OpenAI for whatever the reason was. I think it was innovating too fast, but that's neither here nor there because I really don't know. But I mean, it's just, we can't rely on this one thing after not having it for the past, I mean, in the past 2 or 3 years, it's just exploded, and we can't just lean into that and expect everything to be fine immediately. Now, this next one comes from Deadline, written by Mike Fleming Jr. Absolutely Productions gets new investment and brings Upright Citizens Brigade under the same roof. If you know the UCB, which was created by people like Amy Poehler and Matt Walsh, and those other two guys whose name, Matt Besser and Ian. God, what is Ian's last name? Oh God, this is gonna bother me. I feel so bad because Ian Roberts. And they do improv things and have things going on, but it's launching stuff on the internet is hard. You can't, without reliable capital or income or producers or whatever. It's just because you have the actors ready to go and the premises doesn't mean that you have everything that you need. Tim Heidecker, Eric Wareheim, and Dave Kneebones, Absolutely Productions has secured investment for new comedic ventures, and their first move is to join Upright Citizens Brigade under the same parent company. I believe they're going to be acting independently of one another. Yes, while the companies will operate independently, their shared focus is on building a development pipeline that unites UCB's pool of talent and track record of incubating successful IP with ABSO's creator-driven development process and production experience. Now, Absolutely produces shows like Chad and JT Go Deep and any Tim and Eric project that comes out, and I believe just a crap ton of things on Adult Swim. It's a very lucrative and trustworthy company. Great company, great comedy company. Anything that Nathan Fielder does, I believe. They've also, UCB has done projects like Broadway's Gutenberg the Musical and the new A24 film Dix the Musical, which opened recently. UCB's been working hard, even though it's been around for the past couple of decades, but it's been doing much better, more or less, in these past couple of years with these new productions. Now, UCB shows are going to be able to stream straight to comedy lovers around the world, in addition to offering a wide array of digital engagement opportunities to talent audiences alike. So now we're going to be able to see more people. If I live here in Atlanta and the comedy scene sucks, quite frankly, but I'm going to be able to watch them do their shows. I don't know if they're still in Hell's Kitchen in New York, but I don't even know if they have New York property anymore. They might just be in LA. So I'm going to be able to watch LA shows when sometimes, I guess, they're going to be a little bit soft with that, but they're going to, you'll be able to do that. It's going to be interesting. I'm glad that we're going to see some type of improv or prepared comedy things that are, as much as I love SNL and other pipelines like that, this is just another way for more comedy people to get noticed. Because I don't know, sometimes I watch SNL and I see somebody, and I'll see somebody. This is by no means to be rude or to be like this person doesn't deserve it. So I will say this. I saw the Please Don't Destroy movie, The Treasure of Foggy Mountain. And first, I have to say, that movie is so funny. I miss comedy movies that are just pure jokes. And they don't have to make sense. And things can happen like these three guys wingsuiting in the climax of the movie. And like an eagle, being a comedy prop. I just miss comedies like this. It feels like everything's got to have a heart or it's got to have a message at the end. I don't need that. Sometimes I just want, like Lovebirds. Lovebirds was so good with Kumail Nanjiani and Issa Rae. I just love a comedy that just goes truly off the rails. Now, that being said, this movie was already, which I didn't know, it was already in production. Not in production. The script was already being developed by Judd Apatow, which a person who I like but I also have problems with. He's never had a movie starring a person of color, and a lot of his movies just don't have a lot of people of color. Anyway, but I do like him. But this movie was being developed. The script was being developed before those guys landed on the Please Don't Destroy team. Landed on SNL. That does not mean it was being made. Develop and made is two different things. Now, there's a woman who joined SNL this year and I know it's hard to prove yourself in this first year and you really have to give it 2 or 3. Her name is Chloe Trost, and I don't want to sound spiteful or anything. And I'm sure she's worked very hard, but this person, I wish they would, if you're gonna get another woman, get a woman of color. But this person was in this movie, and now she's on SNL. I mean, it's just, I'm sure one came before the other. Obviously, that's how things work. But I don't know. I just don't like it. It screams a little bit nepotism to me. Not a little bit, a lot of it. Okay. There's gonna be a Barbie screenplay book. Make the money. Again, I don't like Noah Baumbach or Greta Gerwig. I do not like them at all, but make their money. All right, this next one. I keep looking at the clock. I'm interviewing somebody coming up. I'll talk about it at the end of this, but how TMZ became Hollywood's Grim Reaper. This comes from the Hollywood Reporter, written by Gary Baum, Ryan Gajewski, and Winston Cho. I really hope that's how you pronounce Ryan's last name. Now, this is following Matthew Perry's drowning death, unfortunate, on October 28th. Now, the media outlet has, for the past several years, has become, one of as much as people hate it, it is a place where you find a lot of grim news, grim important news, a lot like somebody's death, a big celebrity's death. And Matthew Perry's is no exception. The media outlet, cited law enforcement sources and ran a redacted audio clip it obtained of a dispatcher communicating with emergency personnel before running photos of the actor's stricken parents arriving at his home. I mean, it's just vile. It's disgusting. They send out photogs, paparazzi around just to get these deaths. I mean, they broke Michael Jackson's death in 2009. And they've been doing this. What Hollywood Reporter is writing is obituary reporting, which is relied on paid informants known in the trade as, quote, checkbook journalism, a practice outside the ethical bounds of most mainstream media outlets, which helps them, stay afloat on top of all these topics. According to those who found themselves in the midst of its buzzsaw, it functions as a malignant power that hurts people at their most vulnerable moments. Eddie Van Halen's son, Wolfgang, recalled his own TMZ experience on X. He said, quote, "They paid off people in the hospital when my father passed. Couldn't even effing grieve for 20 minutes. I mean, it's just, imagine being a celebrity and you already have no privacy, which, it's fine. You do your best to combat it. But when something big happens, when you're getting a divorce or when there's a death or of your famous partner or famous child, God forbid, anything along those lines, imagine having, no privacy when it comes to you being in the hospital because you're being in the hospital and you're grieving, and some nurse or some janitor or whomever in this hospital is asked by TMZ and then by what's going on. And it's crazy. Some sources tip off TMZ, which Rupert Murdoch owns. Oh my God. And Warner Media owned it in 2021. Yes, Jesus. Because it's a thrill or they're angry. Others want a payout, which can range from a few $100s to far higher. A former TMZ staffer recalls that there is no ceiling on payments. Quote, "They have an insane amount of capital to do this kind of thing," the person says. The New York Post, another outlet which Murdoch also owns, which is also as reputable as TMZ, reported that the hotel elevator footage of Solange attacking Jay-Z was purchased for $250,000. And if you remember, that was a huge story that is still talked about to this day in hip hop circles. Not to Jay-Z's face or anything, because I don't want to die. TMZ's network of informants, which includes literally anyone, deeply penetrates a local, quote, 30-mile zone that gives the outlet its name, which means that within 30 miles of any story, TMZ probably has an informant. More than likely New York, LA, whatever. So if I'm in Santa Monica and I die, I'm famous, and I die in Santa Monica, God willing, on the beach, and they're sitting in Santa Barbara. They have somebody in Santa Barbara or South LA or South Downtown, just whatever. They get somebody over there quickly to know what's happening. They are cozy with the Los Angeles County Superior Court. The TMZ also has moles at LAX. Wow, crazy. TMZ, I don't like the website, but when something breaks over there, you just have to listen. The Kobe Bryant's death, obviously, a law enforcement officer tipped off TMZ about that, and she had to learn it. Vanessa Bryant had to learn it after the fact. It's just it's a gross way to do anything, and so she ended up suing. Was it TMZ? Who did she sue? She ended up suing, and her suit alleged that the government employees abusing access to celebrity-related information had long been a problem in Los Angeles. Nodding to an LAPD officer sharing photos of Rihanna's bruised face with TMZ following her assault by Chris Brown, which people seem to forget. Chris Brown sucks. All right, this final one comes from The Verge, written by Mila Sato and Nilay Patel. YouTube is going to start cracking down on AI clones of musicians. Again, AI has been a big issue, especially when it comes to, and I hate saying this word, but the creator community. YouTube's going to require creators to begin labeling, quote, realistic AI-generated content when they're uploading videos, and that disclosure requirement is especially important for topics like elections or ongoing conflicts. But you cannot, which means you cannot upload like songs, or if you do upload songs, if you upload some a version of Eminem or Drake, you have to say that this is AI. And then it's going to pop up with a banner that says altered or synthetic content. YouTube says penalties for not labeling AI-generated content accurately will vary, but could include takedowns and demonetization. We don't know how. We don't know how this is going to happen, but we know it could. I mean, this is after YouTube saying it's cracking down on ads, ad blockers. Excuse me. So no more you can still do your deep fakes, but you have to say if it's realistic or not. If you get deep fake, there's a process to follow that may result in the video coming down, but the company says it will, quote, evaluate a variety of factors when evaluating these requests, including whether the content is a parody or satire and whether the individual is a public official or well-known individual, like the guy who does Tom Cruise's deep fakes. The ones I don't like deep fakes at all. That stuff makes me unsettled, and not a lot of stuff makes me unsettled. I could watch a snuff film right now. I could eat a bowl of cereal and watch a snuff film. There will be no exceptions for things like parody or satire when it comes to AI-generated music content from YouTube's partners that, quote, mimics an artist's unique singing or rapping voice. And what Mila and Nilay write here means that Frank Sinatra singing The Killer's Mr. Brightside is likely in for an uphill battle if Universal Music Group decides it doesn't like it. Now, you are taking away from these creators, you are taking away from these people an outlet of revenue, but in a lot of cases, it's harming somebody. So when you have a Tom Cruise or a Brie Larson, I couldn't think of anybody else. And I like Brie Larson a lot. When you have a Tom Cruise or a Brie Larson or a Sam Jackson or a Pedro Pascal fake, and they're saying stuff in regard the stuff that they don't say, bad things. I was going to give examples, but we're in tough times right now. I'm not going to say anything. Already had one contract canceled. It's been a long week, guys. Is this the way now? Is this the way? Or how are these people going to make their money? YouTube and Facebook and Snapchat and TikTok and every other social outlet. They have to recognize the damage that has been wrought. But then when you're Meta and you're walking back things, and which results in 10-year-old children being able to sign up for a Facebook or Instagram account, and then those children being sexualized on Instagram stories, which was a story that happened this week. You're not doing it right in some aspects, and then other aspects you're doing too much. Not that I'm conflating the children being sexualized and YouTube AI generated things. So, what are they to do? All right. Listen, if you like what you heard here, head to the website, cpluscomedy.com. We've got interviews with your favorite media personalities. I'm going to take it away from comedians because the most recent interview I just did, not this one that's coming up, is with a person who I'll talk about at the end of the show, who works at NPR and other things. If you want to see a video version of the show, head to youtube.com/cpluscomedy. News time is coming back. I took a break and I was going to play catch up with like 50 episodes. And then I said, you know what? It doesn't matter. I'm just going to start, relaunch the brand. News time is coming back. If you don't know what News Time is, the premier TV show, entertainment business news show. We also have what are the other LinkedIn Logs, which is my job podcast, which will be coming back regularly at this point, unfortunately, and Late Night Lately, which is the late night show. Video versions of that live on youtube.com/cpluscomedy. We're on social at cpluscomedy, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Me at Chad Black White. The interview that'll be posted the same day as this will be Eric Deggans. He is a media analyst, and he's very smart. And I can't believe that he said yes to an interview with me. And we chatted. It was another instance of me scheduling an interview, and then unfortunately we went over on time and Zoom cutting off. And me frantically emailing him, "Oh, please get back on." But he understood. He understood in the end. We had another 10 or so minutes, which is fantastic. I mean, I love it when people give me their time. And I love it when they can answer the questions and just talk. I love it. I truly love it. And we can have a good conversation back and forth. That's how back and forth. Those are conversations happen. And then that'll be coming up. And then after that, I will, I'll stick with one. I'm going to promote one because it is ready to go. And is it out? No, it's not, because I'm looking at the files right now. Okay. Anyway, that'll be happening. Thank you for listening. I appreciate it. Check out the rest of the stuff on the website. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.